All Elite Wrestling is where stars are forged by the Wrestle Collective. Let's just go with it.
AEW is where stars are made. Now hold on. Before you get your pitchforks out, welcome to the Wrestle YouTube channel. I'm Hannibal Scorch, and if you want to hear what I have to say, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Since AEW started in 2019, many wrestlers have climbed up the ranks, become recognisable names, and got the chance.
Well, a lot of them, really, and it's actually quite of a good thing because it creates a healthy atmosphere within the wrestling industry. Because many people did see WWE as like the big powerhouse until we had a second big company come in and just really make this a lot more of a healthy exchange. Even though it doesn't cause quite a weirdly odd tribalistic tendencies and sometimes some frustration in tendencies.
To find themselves as performers. We, as viewers, got the chance to see stars blossom right before our
Willow Nightingale. My God. These are indie Willow Nightingale. This is like I remember her in Ring of Honor, so it's very surprisingly talk about Ring of Honor before it got purchased. That's where I remember Willow from.
very eyes. People like Willow Nightingale, Tekla, MJF.
Yes, and yes. Tekla is a bit it's a bit iffy for me, but she had more of a new lease of life in a brand new environment, more than having a more Stars of Forge. But in terms of like North American, it's North American, which is like the best place in terms of being a global superstar, especially being a global superstar and powerhouse. Tekla did reach that global status in North America more than she did in Japan for World Under Ring Stardom. I'll give credit for that, but especially in Stardom since she sticked out with a sore thumb in that promotion in particular, from my personal point of view, as you see from the years goes on.
And Swerve Strickland. The way that AEW makes these stars is very simple. In the past, one of the more popular phrases directed at AEW television was, "Where's the story?"
That's the one phrase I kind of found dumb as it goes on because they were not to mention like, oh, there's plenty of stories. No, it's like a company wouldn't really survive this long in the North American landscape without the stories being implemented. It's just the fact that the stories are implemented in a way that is different to like the usual big North American company, which is WWE. And as a result, people who don't like change and most of us don't like change in general, so I can see that. And obviously, if you don't like change mostly, you're going to be more pessimistic to the specific criteria, especially since All Elite Wrestling is more known for being more of a wrestling-focused brand, especially with the founder, the owner, and CEO right now, Tony Khan, with his specific style.
Usually, you would hear this after a match on Dynamite or Collision that AEW fans felt was great, but one that its detractors felt wasn't. But over the course of AEW's 7-year history, and especially in the last couple of years, AEW has stepped up in the storytelling department. Think about the rivalry and reconciliation between the Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland.
Also, this feud, also one more thing I should say, it involves syringes. I think I should make that clear out there. And if you're wondering why I'm saying syringes in particular, I'll explain that a bit later if he says something about this.
Redemption of Hangman, which concluded with his win over Jon Moxley and started his second AEW Men's World Championship reign. Oh, and
I feel like you're saying the men's part kind of is funny when you mention Hangman.
I can't forget the somewhat queer-coded, all-about Eve-inspired partnership and breakup between the women known as Mariah May and Timeless Toni Storm, which culminated with the Hollywood ending. And MJF.
I don't know why I paused when he did that, but I have to mention this clear.
Culminated with the.
This was one of the most fantastic endings to an arc and feud I've ever seen in my life. And I'll give credit to the one thing I'll never really see the point of that. I understand the sentiment is that this would have benefited more of if this main event of the show. Newsflash, it wasn't even the main event wasn't even close to the main event. It was like, I believe, the sixth match out of the 9 matches on the card, because the main event was a different match.
Hollywood ending. And MJF learning some of life's greatest lessons from his hero turned bitter enemy, CM Punk. Now, why are these stories being mentioned? Why is the focus on AEW's storytelling ability? For crying out loud, this is a video about how AEW makes stars. But that is exactly the point. You see, one of the ways AEW builds stars is through their stories. AEW and American wrestling in general is heavily reliant on its characters. Think of Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin.
Yeah, it's very character heavy, which does rely a lot of the characters to really be the focal point of their personas, especially like if you have someone like Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin. We just saw someone like Zeus, who wasn't even wrestling for a short period of time. He's only here just because of the Hulk Hogan movie, but he really was like a pivotal part of this whole thing. So I'll give credit to that in particular.
Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, The Rock, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. Yes, these are wrestlers, but they are characters first. They have distinct personalities.
Yes, I'll give it
Their
credit.
strengths and weaknesses, and they had clear goals and motivations. And characters are allowed to shine when they are in great stories. For Hogan, it was the implosion of the Mega Powers. For Stone Cold Steve Austin, it was overcoming the antics of Mr. McMahon.
It's the funniest thing because it appeals to people who just want to beat the shit out of their boss. Like, it's just funny to think about.
For The Rock, it was his rivalry with Stone Cold. There were so many for Punk that I have no clue where to begin. And for Roman, it was the Bloodline saga,
which has ran for far too long. I'll give credit for this one. But also, this dude is one of the most confusing acts I've seen. Like, post 2024 was the weirdest shift ever. Like, I'm not even gonna go into specifics. Like, I'm not even gonna go through that specifically. But I'm also just gonna say this. Please, someone just say to him, "You've been an evil bastard. Don't try and pretend otherwise." That's all I can say.
In AEW, the ascension of stars like Swerve, Hangman, Tony Storm, and MJF was story-driven. These stories allowed them to spread their wings as characters that resonated with the audience, and in turn, that made them stars. Before AEW, most people knew Swerve Strickland for leading Hit Row. Most people knew Tony Storm as a great wrestler that dressed like a rock star.
Okay. I have to disagree on the Tony Storm bit. For NXT specifically, like, I'm actually okay. Yes and no. Sorry about that. You know, actually, I changed my mind. Yes and no. Yes, but also no. But mainly because the main roster fucked her over to the point where I'm just like, damn, that did not go well. NXT wise, UK version, she was good. NXT in the US was weird because it's almost like she just did nothing for the majority of the part. Besides being part of some big matches, it's almost like she just did like a boatload of nothing.
Most people knew Hangman Adam Page as just another member of Bullet Club, and most people did not even know who MJF was. But now people know them as some of AEW's top stars, because Swerve invaded Hangman's house, and in retaliation got his own childhood home burnt to the ground.
Which, hey, given the fear at this point, it is justified he did this. But it's also like, what the hell? Like, no one expected this coming. Especially since it was an actual fire to the real home. It's just that people thought it wasn't, but it was actually was. It's just on a different side.
Because Tony Storm went crazy, pretended it was the 1940s, and got her heart broken by Mariah May. Because Hangman conquered his demons, righted his wrongs, and redeemed himself. And because MJF allowed us, the fans, to see his struggles as a child.
I thought I'd fit in!
allowed himself to make a friend and get betrayed.
And this is when he's like, yep, he's not going to get another friend again, and I can see why, because that make up a trade.
Consequently closed himself off after the fans soured on him. These stories turn these men and women into stars, and these stories are only possible in All Elite Wrestling. Unlike the
It's only possible because you put time and care and effort into these. This can happen really in many other wrestling companies, not really All Elite Wrestling specifically. It just shows that if you put time and effort into a character, people are going to care about that character, especially if it connects to a crowd. That's really what it takes, and wrestling's that simple with it that you could do it. I don't know why people just don't realize the fact that it can happen. If it works, and if you can see a lightning in a bottle with it, keep going with it, unless you also do a well-told payoff. It's really just classic storytelling in a nutshell. Like it really is for many other forms of media. I don't know why I don't know why sometimes you just see one person doing well where you could have just done it like that yourself. Like I see other wrestling programs and think to myself, you can do this, you can see lightning in a bottle, just go with it. It frustrates me every time.
last section, I would like to zero in on somebody. That person in particular being the man who returned at AEW Double or Nothing, Carl Fletcher. You see, before joining AEW, Fletcher was one half of the acclaimed tag team Aussie Open, alongside fellow Don Callis family member and now AEW National Champion Dunkzilla Mark Davis. During their time teaming together, they won the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships in New Japan Pro Wrestling and the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships after signing with AEW. But in the fall of 2023, Mark Davis suffered an injury that
The interesting part about this is that it does make back the question as to what would have happened if Fletcher wasn't by himself and Mark wasn't injured. It does beg the question as to what would happen if Mark Davis was not injured. Because after Mark Davis got injured, Carl Fletcher benefited from it because he actually got a chance to keep going, have these opportunities to keep shining, and as a result, he kept moving up the card as a result from that.
required surgery. And often in wrestling, you'll see one half of the tag team suffer an injury and the other half disappear until their partner fully heals. But in contrast to that logic, Carl Fletcher transitioned to singles competition. While Mark Davis was absent,
This, in my opinion, is the best Ring of Honor World Television Championship reign of the current era of Ring of Honor. That no one will ever beat this. And don't even put Samoa Joe there because that ending was dog shit.
Fletcher won the Ring of Honor Television Championship at Ring of Honor Final Battle 2023 and started to find himself as a singles wrestler. And after his run in Ring of Honor, Carl Fletcher had the chance to prove himself in AEW. On September 25th, 2024, Carl Fletcher and his United Empire stablemate Will Ospreay challenged the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And after Fletcher and Ospreay lost, Fletcher turned on his longtime friend and became one of the focal points of the Don Callis family.
Wait, did I hear something wrong here?
Tag Team Championships. And after Fletcher and Ospreay lost, Fletcher turned on his longtime friend and became one of the focal points of the Don Callis family.
Okay, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that you could have better phrased that Will Ospreay he betrayed him during Will's match at Wrestle Dream. That was because this happened in a completely different match, but the way he said it looked like he turned on him immediately right after. But no, it was after Will Ospreay had his three-way match that at a pay-per-view for a title that much, which helped out somewhat.
Complete with a new buzz cut, Fletcher soared through the ranks in AEW, becoming a two-time TNT champion, a back-to-back Continental Classic semi-finalist, and even challenged Hangman Adam Page for the AEW Men's World Championship in the main event of All Out 2025.
I do feel bad for this match in particular because not only was it a big match in Carl Fletcher's career, this match will forever be under the microscope and be kind of forgotten about, mainly because this was on the exact same night as WWE's WrestlePalooza event, which was like a way to like cut off All Out because All Out was supposed to happen the time when WrestlePalooza happened. But since WrestlePalooza got announced, they moved All Out to earlier in the show. And the match and the main event bled into the start of it, which was sad because the first match was sad because it was the first ever event on ESPN. So it's quite sad that this match will kind of be under the wraps. But if you're someone who loves All Out, then you probably will remember this a lot more.
And while this all sounds hunky-dory, what is the point of focusing on Carl Fletcher here? Well, AEW is willing to take chances on certain talent and give them the chance to prove themselves as performers. Carl Fletcher got the chance to prove himself as somebody that AEW can trust. The same goes for Kevin Knight. Before he signed with AEW, most people did not know who he was. Some people...
I knew who... Okay, which North American fans, like some people just only watch two big companies, and yes, it makes sense. No one knew who he was. I knew who he was because I watched New Japan a lot, given the G1 Climax is going on. I kind of already knew who he was before then, so yeah.
Knew him from his time in New Japan as a junior heavyweight teaming with Kushida, though to most people he was an unknown. But the talent was clear and AEW took a punt and signed Kevin Knight. And they threw him straight into the fire. His first match in AEW was on Collision against Jay White.
He was still signed in New Japan, by the way.
And a little over a week later, he had to wrestle his first pay-per-view match against Will Ospreay.
Okay, I made a mistake. He was signed to New Japan, but he was only put in with Jay White as a replacement. He was signed with New Japan until he signed with AEW on a dual contract with New Japan, and then he had a match with Ospreay. Okay, maybe I'm confusing timelines, but that's how I remember.
At the 2025 edition of Dynasty, and he proved to be someone to invest in. Over the next year, he represented AEW in New Japan's Best of the Super Junior tournament.
Didn't have the best record in that tournament. I remember did not have the best record. Man lost a lot in the early stages of the tournament. When he finally beat Nick Wayne, I'm like, finally, sheesh.
Challenged for the AEW World Tag Team Championships with Speedball Mike Bailey as part of Jet Speed. Beat Kazuchika Okada in the Continental Classic. Challenged MJF for the AEW Men's World Championship. And became a two-time AEW Trios Champion. First, along with Speedball and Hangman. And the second time, alongside one of the biggest stars in Lucha Libre history, Mystico. And then, at Dynasty 2026, a year and change after his first pay-per-view match against Ospreay, he won his first singles championship ever.
It does show that you put time and effort in somebody, and you have a connection, you make the changes like this. This could be the result of it, and that's something people like. I was so happy when he became the TNT champion.
TNT championship. And during this TNT title run, something major happened. You see, AEW rolled the dice on Kevin time and time again, and every time it paid off. Well, Double or Nothing 2026, they did it again. After the main event title versus hair match between Darby Allin and MJF, Kevin Knight shocked the world, turning heel by hitting a UFO splash on Darby Allin whilst he laid on a stretcher. Before Kevin Knight signed with AEW, WWE offered him a contract. If he were to sign with WWE, Kevin Knight would have gone to the Performance Center, likely got his name changed, go to NXT if he was lucky, and then had to...
He was going to go to NXT, definitely. It's not even by luck, because generally he's one of the most talented wrestlers, but that's usually the whole process with it. They go to the Performance Center to learn WWE's style of doing things there. Then they do the whole thing at NXT, and then they go to the main roster, which is something that AJ Styles, I believe, defended on in a recent interview as well, which is very odd. But I'll just continue.
Wait 2 years to get called up, and that time frame would lead to 2027. And for context, right now we are not even halfway through 2026. So instead of waiting,
we are halfway through the year, mind you.
2 years to get to the main roster, Kevin Knight chose to sign with AEW, and in turn, he got immediate television exposure. He got to win the Trios titles twice, represent Turner Network Television as its champion, and wrestle with and against some of the biggest names in all of pro wrestling. AEW putting faith in both Carl Fletcher and Kevin Knight paid massive dividends. The faith and exposure that the company put in the two men allowed them to become recognisable faces and key pieces of the company's future. Most of the time, All Elite Wrestling sets a
Okay, he didn't mention here, but he would join a group that's already bigger than he mentioned earlier, the Don Callis family. I'll just go for it now and I'll say that it kind of was just lame. Sure, I understand why it's made, but I'm not gonna sit here and be happy with this. It's like kind of lame. I kind of wish he was on his own, but it's fine.
talent up for success. The way that they do that is giving them the chance to prove themselves as
Oh my god, that's the
wrestlers and as characters. AEW gives them matches to show and develop their in-ring skills, and juicy stories to show and develop their skills as characters. And it is through this that All Elite Wrestling truly makes stars.
It kind of just shows that literally, like I said before, having good television and actually investing into people, and especially if it works, will pay off. Genuinely, it will pay off like that quickly. But also, shout out to the Wrestling Collective for this, and it will be quite of an odd time, especially with as we're going on right now. I feel like if they continue to keep doing this, this could be paying dividends to the entire industry of pro wrestling, and I do like that a lot. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.